Hi, my name is Tanveer Alam and topic for my presentation is Hacking Humans, Concept, Prevention and Demonstration using Social Engineering Toolkit. Agenda for this presentation is as follows. We will start with discussion around human hacking concepts, followed by different phases of social engineering attack. We will then review most common social engineering attack and a strategy to prevent these attacks. We will review Social Engineering Toolkit, a very popular toolkit among security professional as well as hacker. I will demonstrate this toolkit functionality by launching two social engineering attacks. Human hacking is also known as social engineering attack. Normally when we think about the information system security, we are talking about digital security. How do we protect our systems from attacker trying to exploit flaws in the system? We neglect to talk about the weakest link, that is humans. In this presentation, I will discuss how humans are vulnerable to being socially engineered so that an attacker gains an advantage in compromising the very system that we are trying to protect with the digital control. A company can have the best firewall available to protect servers, desktops from attacker to penetrate. It can have very robust authorization rule around who can access a specific resources. It has the best antivirus software which can identify malicious software pattern and stop it from damaging systems. All these components form a hard shell around the information system and provide digital security. Behind this control within the hard shells are human, the people who sit within the firewall, who have access to the file which we would otherwise protect with access controls, and who have the ability to run software on those environments, potentially circumventing antivirus control. Attacker need to convince just one person in soft center behind this hardcore to bring down a good security. This problem is also referred to as M&M problem, a crunchy harder outer layer protecting soft chocolate inside. This sentiment is best described by a quote from Kevin Mitnick, probably the most famous computer hacker of all time. A company can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on firewall, intrusion detection systems, encryption, and other security technologies. But if an attacker can call one trusted person within the company and that person complies, and if the attacker gets in, then all that money is spent on technology is essentially wasted. So let's look into what is social engineering. Social engineering refers to psychological manipulation of people into performing action or divulging confidential information. This is a type of confidence trick for the purpose of information gathering, acquiring access to a system for the sole purpose of committing a fraud. Human behavior has many vulnerabilities, and hackers never hesitate to exploit them. Some of these vulnerabilities are greed, fear, curiosity, sympathy, helpfulness, respect for authority. We will look into each of these human weaknesses as we progress through this presentation. Social engineering attacks are easier than technical hacking and harder to detect and track. Majority of social engineering attack is a three-phase approach. It starts with intelligence gathering, followed by a target selection, and then finally launch the attack. You will often see social engineering attack is broken down in two categories: human-based social engineering attack and digital or computer-based social engineering attack. Let's take an example of each one of them. A good example of human-based approach is impersonation. Here attacker actually calls or meet victim posing as someone else. There is a back and forth conversation between attacker and victim. Eavesdropping and shoulder surfing is another good example, which is carried out in person. Same again with tailgating. Phishing email is a computer-based attack. Email is sent electronically. Someone read the email and interact with the attacker over the internet. There is no physical interaction between attacker and victim. Same is good for baiting or pretexting. Impersonation is the most common form of social engineering attack. In this case, attacker impersonate as an authorized person, either personally or by any other communication medium such as email or phone, to trick target to reveal confidential information. IRS and Microsoft tech support scams are two very well-known impersonation attacks, and many of us may have received the call. In IRS scam, an attacker calls pretending to be an IRS agent, telling the victim that a warrant has been issued for them and police is on the way. If you pay a fine, warrant will be cancelled. In the case of Microsoft tech support scam, an attacker impersonating as a support agent for Microsoft will tell victim that their computer is sending messages to Microsoft server that it is infected with virus. They would scare you to install some software or ask you to give them remote access for troubleshooting. Once they get access to it, they will install backdoor for further exploit, on the top of charging for useless virus scanning software. Some other examples are new employee requesting help, or somebody posing as a supervisor to get confidential information. There are some warning signs which shows a possible impersonation attack. For example, out of ordinary requests, like requesting access to sensitive information which otherwise a person would not have. Showing urgency for information, for example, it needs to happen within an hour or so. And if the request is not fulfilled, there will be a threat of consequences. Impersonation attack can be prevented by verifying requester identity. If suspicious of request callback number and validate the number belongs to caller in the organization directory. Refuse to divulge information if identity cannot be verified. Refuse to allow a person to install any software on your device if you don't know them or you don't trust them. Shoulder surfing involves someone looking over your shoulder and observing your personal information. Example includes someone sitting in a train, airplane, or bus with their laptop open and somebody standing or sitting behind him and seeing exactly what is on the laptop. Other example will be someone watching as you enter password or PIN for ATM or mobile phone. Information also can be accessed by snapping picture, using security camera behind you, or using binocular from far. Public places like cafe, public transport, offices pose risk for these kind of attacks. These type of attacks can be mitigated by using privacy filter or a screen on your device. Being aware of your surrounding when entering PIN or password on your device. Delay accessing any sensitive information till you are in an environment which offers privacy. Eavesdropping is listening to private conversation of others without their consent. For example, very often we come across people talking loudly on phone discussing things which should not be done in public, like discussing confidential business deals, reading credit card information for an order placed over the phone, or giving PIN to help desk for issue resolution. Public places like cafe, public transport, offices pose risk for these attacks. Eavesdropping may also occur on the wire, that is phone tapping. There is no clear-cut way to prevent this other than the person talking on the phone stops talking. As somebody has said very well, there is no patch for human. People need to realize severity of information and refrain from discussing it in the public setting. Tailgating is an act of unauthorized person following an authorized person and enters the secure area through a door. It exploits the human weakness of helpfulness. Criminals have many tricks in their arsenal to trick people into letting them into a building. Some of the examples are following an employee displaying fake ID, walking towards the entrance with the hands full of stuff, or holding a big box obscuring their face. Striking conversation in common area like a smoking area and following employee as they go back. Once inside, criminals get access to a lot of things like computers, sensitive document left on printer or photocopier. Even content of trash can be very helpful. Prevention strategy largely depends on level of security required. Some of the options are build a culture. Even the most advanced security system will fail if occupants are not on board. Asking to see person ID before letting them in. Sensors to detect multiple people entering at the same time. Card readers with PIN numbers. Using security guard to visually inspect badges before letting them in. And finally, using a trapdoor, which allows only one person entry at a time. Dumpster diving. As the name suggests, it involves diving into dumpster and looking for valuable information like bank statement, credit card statement, digital media for social engineering reconnaissance. Seemingly innocent information like phone list, calendar, or organization chart can be very useful for an attacker to launch impersonation or identity theft attack. Mitigation strategy for dumpster diving attack can be to establish proper disposal policy for a company. All paper records are cross-cut, shredded before recycling. All digital media is erased and destroyed before recycling. Using professional recycling service for on-site recycling is another option. Phishing is most common form of social engineering attack. It is very effective and low overhead to stand up. Phishing attack is often used to steal user data, including login credential and credit card numbers. It occurs when an attacker, masquerading as a trusted entity, dupes a victim into opening an email, instant message, or a text message. The recipient is then tricked into clicking a malicious link, which can lead to installation of malware or freezing of the system as part of ransomware attack, or revealing sensitive information. This type of attack exploits various human weaknesses. Studies have shown that the connection and the greed are the two factors which results in a high response from phishing email. Nigerian email phishing scam offering millions of dollars for never-ending administrative fee is a well-known phishing scam. This slide shows example of phishing email I received recently offering reward for a survey. It looks like coming from Amazon, but a close look at from address and hovering over OK button reveals an URL which is not tied to Amazon. This slide shows another example of phishing. In this case, Tim Horton is promoting a new coffee flavor backed by online and in-store advertisement, giving it a good visibility. Phishing email offering same drink free will have a higher chance to be successful. Spear phishing is more targeted attack on any individual or a company. Attacker tailor their message based on the characteristics, job positions, contacts belonging to their victim, or an event at the company to make their attack less conspicuous. A spear phishing attack has more chances of being successful than generic phishing attack. Some of the examples of a spear phishing attacks are email from bank requesting additional information to process transaction, email with a link to sign up for a company New Year party, email with a link to sign up for health insurance during sign up period, email from boss requesting sensitive information. Humans are soft target and will always be. Phishing attack cannot be prevented 100%. This slide lists some of the strategy to reduce the chances of being victim of phishing attack. Increase awareness through training. Use tools like Phish Defender. Use two-factor authentication. Verify suspicious request. Avoid clicking links or opening attachment from unknown sources. In baiting or drive-by attack, an attacker takes advantage of humans curiosity, or greed weakness by luring the person to do something of what attacker can gain confidential information. Bait and drive-by attack comes in many forms. Let's look into some example. Attacker may drop a corporate branded flash drive with enticing label like executive salary summary or bonus summary in the common area like elevator, park. A curious employee may pick the drive and insert into machine, causing virus spreading in the network and possibly opening the back door. Attacker may also post malicious music download link on an insecure site, causing the malware to be installed when click on the link. Prevention of this attack include increase of awareness through training. Pretexting is a social engineering technique in which a fictional situation is created for obtaining personal and sensitive information from an unsuspecting individual. A pretexter pretends to need information in order to confirm the identity of the person he or she is talking to. Pretexter might ask a series of questions designed to gather key individual identifiers such as confirmation of individual's social security number, mother's maiden name, place or date of birth or account number. Examples of pretexting attacks are as follows. In a high-profile case, a firm contracted by Hewlett-Packard chair Patricia Dunn used pretexting to access telephone records of HP's board of directors. A pretexter posing as the representative of bank, credit card company offers to process requests over the phone. Prevention of this attack includes increased awareness through training. Avoid providing any PII or sensitive information over the phone to an unknown person or a person you have not met before and do not trust. Social engineering tool is extremely popular among security professionals and hackers due to its success to execute social engineering attack. This tool is developed by David Kennedy and enhanced by community. Kali Linux distribution has this tool already installed, and I will be using one of the lab Kali Linux VM to demonstrate some of its capabilities. So let's get started. Social Engineering Toolkit is launched by entering the commands SE Toolkit. Once loaded, you will see the menu as shown here. Menu option 1 provides the social engineering attack functionality. So let's enter 1. Let's do a quick review of the item on this menu. First option is used to launch a spear phishing attack. Option number 2 gives you ability to launch multiple website attack to compromise victim machine. Third option will create malicious auto-run payload for removable disk for drive-by attack. Fourth option gives you the ability to create payload and listeners just like we do in Metasploit tool. Fifth option gives the ability to initiate phishing attack by sending email to individual or group. Option number 6 gives the ability to launch remote code execution attack. Option number 7 gives the ability to create a wireless access point which will redirect all the DNS query to attacker machine. Option 8 gives the ability to create QR code for a given URL. Option 9 gives the ability to launch PowerShell a specific attack. And finally, the third-party module gives the ability to build your own module. I will be using SE Toolkit to demonstrate credential harvesting and webjacking attack capability for this tool. So let's get started. In this demo, we will look into credential harvesting capability of Social Engineering Toolkit. We will clone the Facebook site. Normally, a specially crafted email with the link to clone site is sent to the user. However, in this demo, we will not be sending email to the user. Instead, we will be directly browsing to the clone site to see its capability. So let's start with the starting a social engineering toolkit. We'll select the option number 1 to initiate social engineering attack. In here, we will select the option number 2, website attack vector. Next, we will select the option number 3, credential harvest attack method. And we will select option number 2, site cloner. Here, we will enter the IP address of the Kali machine. And enter the URL to clone. We will enter facebook.com. Now, our generated files has been copied on the Kali Apache machine. So we will use that to launch the attack. So let's get out of social engineering toolkit by pressing 99 again. Now we will go to Windows 7 and try to load the web. In here, as you can see, this one is a fake website which we have set up on the Kali, and let's enter the credential. And the password. And when I click on the login, you will notice that the user is redirected to original Facebook site, just to avoid the user suspicion. Okay, so now let's go back to all the credential which is entered by the user is recorded under the harvester date.txt file. So let's see the content of this file. As you can see here, the credential is listed here. The email address is test.facebook.com and the password is password. In the next demo, we will look into webjacking capability of this toolkit. The webjacking attack is another phishing technique that can be used in social engineering attacks. Attackers that are using this method are creating a website. When the victim opens the link, a page appears with the message that the website has been moved and they need to click another link. If the victim clicks the link, he will be redirected to the fake page. Now let's see how webjacking attack can be initiated using social engineering toolkit. I am already on the website attack menu option. This time I'm going to select option number 5, webjacking attack method. Then option 2, site cloner. Here I will enter the IP address of the local host. Same as previous example, I will use Facebook site to clone. We are done here. So let's go on the Windows 7 and try to access this site. So now you see, when we browse to this site, it shows a link that facebook.com has been moved, and now victim has to click on the link to go to new location. When I hover over the link, it shows the link to the actual facebook.com web page. So let's click on the link. Now we are going to enter the login credentials. And then password. Let's click on the login. Now we go back to Kali box. You get out of the SE tool. Let's look into harvester.txt file. As you can see here, it has already captured the credential. The email is demo2@facebook.com which used, and the password this time is hello world. Thank you for watching the presentation. Looking forward for your feedback.